interesting to see where they're.
Good evening, and welcome to the June 16th, 2009 Planning Commission meeting. I'm Kevin Chase, the Vice Chair, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Chair, Commissioner Mary, who's got a little bit of laryngitis, it sounds like. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Smoot.
Here.
Commissioner Mishra.
Here.
Commissioner Marshall.
Here.
Vice Chair Chase.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here.
Chair Johnson is here.
Here.
And Commissioner Biasotti should be on as well.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Marshall, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm sorry. Okay, first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the May 19th, 2009 meeting.
Through the chair. I'd like to make
Commissioner
the motion. I'd like to make the motion that we approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2009 meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Next item would be communications.
The first is that you could find the packet online at sanbruno.ca.gov in the Community Development Department section. And yeah, you can find all the staff reports there as well as the agenda. And the second is actually correction to the agenda. Under adjournment, it currently says adjourn to the next meeting on July 14th. That should actually read adjourn to the next meeting on July 21st, 2009.
Thank you. Any other communications?
That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. Next item would be public comment on the items not listed on our agenda. Is there anybody in the public who would wish to speak on an item that is not on this agenda? Okay, seeing none, I will open and close that. Any announcements of conflicts of interest from any of the commissioners? No? Okay. So, we will move on now to item 5A, new business. This is 599 Cedar Avenue. It's a request for an extension of a planned unit permit for a period of 1 year for a 14 home development at 599 Cedar Avenue, San Bruno, per chapter 12.128 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. Peninsula Christian Fellowship is the applicant and owner. Staff report, please.
Thank you. Good evening. The Planning Commission at their July 17th meeting approved the planned unit permit as well as a tentative parcel map to allow the development of the Cedar Grove home development. That was 14 new single-family homes as well as the subdivision and related improvements. The planned unit permit is valid for a period of 1 year. And as indicated in your staff report, the tentative parcel map is valid for a period of 2 years and then has been automatically extended by some recent changes to state law for an additional year. As we're coming up on that 1 year timeline for the planned unit permit, the applicant has requested an additional 1 year extension to the planned unit permit. Due to the current economic situation, the applicant is currently marketing the property and needs that additional time to market the property and then have the new developer come in and submit the building permits for the development. I'd be happy to try to answer any of your questions.
Any commissioners have any questions of staff?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Peterson?
Would it be appropriate to consider the condition of the property is kept in when considering this extension?
The condition that it be maintained well during that period of time?
Right. Because my experience is when I drive by there, it doesn't look very neat, and it looks like they're sort of, it's like a trailer park, sort of. And I don't think it's zoned for trailer parks.
No, they do have their temporary office located at that spot, so I can have maybe the applicant explain further what they intended to use the property, and we can also work with them to make sure it's well maintained.
Thank you.
Through the chair. unfortunately have a question. Has there been any feedback from the public on this
We did do a courtesy notice, and we did not receive any comments.
throughout the last year? Has there been any other?
I haven't received any, Aaron?
We did speak to one neighbor who said that he actually met with the pastor of the church and discussed the plans, and he understands that given the current economic climate, that the project wasn't going to come to fruition in the last year, and he supported this and wants to put the project in a position that if it were to go forward in the future, not have to go through, or the new developer come in with a completely new plan, because he was happy with the plan as it was passed.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, is the applicant here? Would you mind stepping to the podium, stating your name and street for the record, please?
Good evening. I'm Pastor John Grucy. I'm the pastor of the church, and I appreciate your patience. It's been a long, hard 7 years for us, and I appreciate your patience, especially with this project. As you know, you approved it last June, and we were moving forward when the economy went south, and it affected our developer, and we felt it was in the best interest not to wait for him for his business to turn around. So we pretty much made the decision to end our relationship with him. So what that leaves us is really just two options, at least as we discussed it as a board. My board is here with me tonight. The first one is to find a developer. And as we've discussed that with different people, it seems that's going to be either a small or a mid-sized developer. But those are the folks who've been hit the hardest by the economy. And so we're going to be pursuing that, looking at potentially a new developer to come in and pick up the project. The other option, which is to put the whole project on the market as a whole and just get out of the development aspect of it and just move on. In regards to the property itself, we've been maintaining it as best we can. Weeds down all around the sides, the front, the bushes trimmed. My office is there, and that's where we've been since the fire. And so I would appreciate that it would stay there because it's very expensive to rent otherwise. That's incredibly a good deal for us. So far, I think when that issue came up last, all the neighbors were okay with that. They didn't complain of us, having it there. So I would appreciate your consideration of that.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the applicant this time?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Peterson?
Would you object to a condition that the property be maintained in a neat manner and there not be house trailers or you don't maintain a residence there?
Oh,
do
no.
you? Or a residence maintained on the property?
When you mean house trailer, would you be saying that we would have to remove the office that we have there now?
No, I remember one time I went by, there was like a travel trailer.
Oh, I see, yeah. We have, actually, those are neighbors. They've asked us to allow them to use our property to park their trailers. And so we could ask them to remove them. So I'd be happy to remove them if that would secure your support, sure.
I think that would be
Sure,
appropriate.
not a problem.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions of the applicant?
One other question.
Certainly.
In your considering other developer builders, it's possible that you would come back with a different application, isn't it?
It depends, yes. Yeah, I guess the new developer would have to study what he can do. It has to make sense for them, all
Right.
that. So that is a possibility, yes.
Possibility, they may look at exactly what you have and say, we'd like to change several aspects of it, maybe the roadways, I don't know.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing none, I'll close it and bring it back to the commission for their pleasure.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Marshall.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant a one-year extension with conditions that Commissioner Peterson added.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
I'd like to ask a question on it.
Certainly.
Staff, if the owner were to decide that they wanted some changes, if there were changes in anything that's been submitted to that level of detail, of course, it's not a highly detailed construction plans, they would have to come back to request a revised permit, right?
Correct?
So what we would be doing here tonight, if this motion passes, is approving the project as it was approved, not with a few changes.
Correct, the exact same project that was approved last year.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Satisfy you, Commissioner?
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, it passes, and I guess there still is a 10-day appeal period for this, right? All righty, thank you very much. Okay, next item. General plan consistency, is this what we're? Okay. General plan consistency determination for capital improvement budget for the fiscal year 2009, 2010. And it looks like Lisa on staff will give us a report.
Good evening. State planning and zoning law does require the Planning Commission review the capital improvement program and compare it to your general plan and make a determination of general plan consistency finding. And that's just making the finding that the projects that are listed in the capital improvement project are consistent with your general plan. It doesn't preclude any further environmental review later when that specific project comes forward. It's really approving it as a budgetary item. Staff has reviewed the plan as well, compared it against our new general plan, and is able to recommend that you make that finding of general plan consistency. And we have prepared a resolution as attached to the staff report. Be happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff? No? Okay, thank you very much. At this point, I will open it up to public comment. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I will close it and bring it back to the commission for discussion or whatever.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Mishra.
I would like to make a motion that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2009-6.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Will this be a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Samut?
Aye.
Commissioner Mishra?
Aye.
Commissioner Marshall?
Aye.
Vice Chair Chase?
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson?
Aye.
And Chair Johnson?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0 with Biassadi absent.
Next item, 917 Masson Avenue. Request for a use permit to legalize unpermitted construction that would result in an overall FAR above the .55 guideline, actually it'd be .75, exceeds the 44% lot coverage requirement of 55%, and exceeds 2,800 square feet of living space, 3,300 square feet, without providing a third covered parking space per section 12-230B2, 12-230B3, and 12-280A3 of the San Bruno zoning ordinance. Matt, staff report, please.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. As stated, the applicant has applied for a use permit to legalize the unpermitted addition that exceeds the FAR requirement, the lot coverage requirement, and exceeds 2,800 square feet of living area without providing a third covered parking space. It is important to note that staff is recommending denial of this project. Before getting into the details of the project, I would like to go into the history of the development at the site. In 1989, the lot was developed with a two-story single-family development. In 1999, the current property owner applied for a use permit to construct a single-family addition. That use permit was approved by the Planning Commission. In 2001, the current property owner constructed an approximately 750 square foot addition without the issuance of a building permit. A code enforcement case was opened, and the applicant then applied for a use permit. That use permit was approved by the Planning Commission in 2001. However, there were some concerns about that approval, about approving that specific project. And the Architecture Review Committee minutes and the Planning Commission minutes are attached to your staff report as a reference. In 2008, once again, the current property owner constructed an addition without building permits. It was a 240 square foot expansion to the rear of the existing dwellings. It was right in the northwest corner. A code enforcement case was opened, and during that initial inspection, the code enforcement officer noted that the 240 square foot expansion was being utilized as a second kitchen, which is not permitted within a single family dwelling. Additionally, the garage was being utilized for living purposes. The Architecture Review Committee reviewed this project at the March 12th, 2009 meeting, and they expressed concern about the size of the addition and the home and the total size of the home, and they were disappointed. They expressed their disappointment with the current property owner in constructing the addition again without building permits. The Architecture Review Committee forwarded the project to the Planning Commission with a recommendation of denial. Since that time, the applicant has revised the plans. The applicant now proposes to legalize a 120 square foot portion of that unpermitted addition and reduce the garage area by 95 square feet. It is important to note that the overall FAR is only increasing by 25 square feet. However, the living in space is increasing by 120 square feet. The statistics are 3,330 square feet of living area, and garage area amounts to 437 square feet. Staff does not support this use permit for a number of reasons. Regarding the FAR, as proposed, is coming in at a 0.75 FAR, which is by far the largest FAR in that immediate neighborhood. Staff finds that it's not consistent with the neighborhood, and the home is just simply too big for the site. Regarding lot coverage, the lot coverage requirement or calculation is coming in at 55%, where 44% is the maximum. The whole intent of the lot coverage requirement really is to have some open space within a single-family development, and that is not being achieved here. Staff does not support the lot coverage requirement or lot coverage calculation of 55%. Additionally, the applicant is increasing the living area and reducing the garage area by 95 square feet. So this furthers the existing non-conforming parking situation. And lastly, regarding internal circulation, since the applicant has revised the plans, there is no internal circulation. The only way you can access this revised unpermitted addition is through an exterior door. So you can't walk in through the house and access this specific addition. We received 2 comments from neighbors. They were specifically concerned with parking, and they felt that the home was too big and simply didn't fit in with the neighborhood. Additionally, one of the neighbors expressed concern that as far as safety purposes, because the addition was constructed without building permits. With that, staff finds that the addition is not consistent with the design and scale of the existing neighborhood and recommends that the Planning Commission deny use permit OA-026. I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Marshall?
Just, I think I know the answer, but in 2001 and now it was the same owner, correct?
Can you repeat that one more time?
The owner of 2001 is the same owner as now? So
Correct, it's
the
the
one that
same
got
owner.
caught in 2001 is the same one who did the illegal construction? Is that
Correct.
Okay. And on the garage, when you said they reduced the size of the garage with the proposed plan, give me some more information on that.
Essentially, what the applicant is doing is bringing the garage door back 5 feet. So the garage measures 19 feet wide, so when you multiply that out, it amounts to a 95 square foot reduction.
Okay. So the total depth width on the new proposed garage is?
The total depth would be meeting the requirements,
Okay.
correct. There's a wall, there's like a partition wall
that's
that
right.
would be removed.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? No? Thank you, Matt. Is the applicant present? Would you please step to the podium and state your name and street for the record, please?
Ahmed Khan. First name Ahmed, last name Khan, K-H-A-N.
All right. Would you care to give a explanation or
Yes, good evening.
Reasons?
Planning Commission. I wanted to give you an overview of what is there and what eventuated to this.
Excuse me.
Uh,
Can you just put the microphone down a little bit closer there? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I just want to give an overview of what is there and how did it come about. Basically, that place in the back had slab only and didn't have any walls in the back, and had a shed, and I used what you call like tin used for like greenhouse, what you call that clear stuff. So I had used as a storage area, and I had to store stuff that I used to keep. And I work in the hospital setting, so I used a lot of stuff that was given to me, overdue and overstock stuff, radiographic cassettes, some imaging equipment, tubing and catheters and stuff, which I keep with me. And then I have friends and family, so I ship it back to Fiji where they use it, although these are little expired stuff. But I send it to hospital in Lambasa and Bonwalevu, which is a very poor place. So I try to send him up there. I help out that way. So most of my stuff that I store in that area is most of the imaging equipment. I got like 10, 12 wheelchairs, most of them. So once in a while, I go every year. I'll be out at Fiji, and I have my family, friends. I try to take care of that. I did talk to you about the Planning Commission. Where would I use the storage area? Matt said you could use in the garage and put it on the top and stuff. But some of the equipment I cannot put right on top of the garage. So that area, what I did is I was storing things, and on the stormy times when there's rain and stuff, some of the stuff got wet. So what I did eventually is that I put the walls on the side, the 11-1 siding, and I covered the roof. I put a skylight and I put a large window. So there was no electricity, so enough light for that. That was the reason. And I just want to explain, like you talk about living space in the garage. What I did, I had parked the car outside. I had pool table for the kids, and I put the sofa there. That's what if it means to say living space. Because when the code enforcement came to my door on the day I was leaving for San Diego, he said there's a code enforcement case, there's something in the back that I need to see. Basically, I was going for a week. I could have said, just wait, I'll come back and we'll check it out. I could have dismantled, I could have done a lot of things, but I said, no, just come on in, I'll show you what I got. So I took him around in the back, I showed him this is what they're talking about, I showed them that, showed the garage, took them tour of the whole house. And he says, well, this thing is not supposed to be here. If you need to keep it, you need to go to the Planning Commission, come to the city and stuff. So, I didn't deny that I did not do it, but that doesn't mean this is legit. But I'm just trying to tell how things, the sequence of events happen. So I did that. It was, so. And I should have said that, first of all, I take full responsibility for what happened, my actions. I don't deny that I didn't do it, but I did it for a good cause. And still, I would like the Planning Commission to come to my place and see what I got. Am I talking, or I'm just talking about other things? What I got is full storage boxes, cases of a lot of imaging equipment. And those equipment, I did ask Matt, he came to my house, not once, about 3 times. And I said, can you help me out? If I was supposed to demolish this completely and find a place to store this, he said you could use the garage area. But the garage area, I have to go up high in the ceiling. I cannot have wheelchairs, I cannot have catheters and stuff, and tubing and stuff, which is unopened, but because of the heat and stuff, I cannot keep it too close to the roof. So basically, I wanted to keep them on the floor around the area where I had enough ventilation and stuff. And that's what I am using this place for. And I keep getting stuff, because I've been in the hospital setting for over 20 years, and I work with Kaiser, and I work at Peninsula Hospital here. The manager is a good friend of mine. Every time things expire, which are good stuff, I keep it. I take it away, and then I ship it away with friends and family. It's kind of expensive to ship by boxes, but I just use my friends and family and myself. So that's what the thing is used for, the place. And it was large. They say it was 240, and I said, well, if you feel that it's too large, what I'm going to do is trying to maintain, to keep that place. I said, I'll reduce this space here, storage area. And I could have done one thing without doing that. I could have constructed a storage shed not attached to the house, which is 120 square feet the city could have given up. Without a permit, people have constructed, not attached to the house. I could have done 10 by 12, I would have not issues. But since I had the slab, and I had the roof there, not total roof, just like a shed, and I thought it was easier for me to just put that and put the siding, which I did easily. So that's what I did. I could have used and built another shed in the back, a 10 by 12, which a lot of people do, and that would have been a problem. But since the slab was there, I've done that, and since then I have worked with the city, the city, it's a very small project, but it's getting so expensive for me now. I've done 4 revisions to the plan, which cost me about $400. Applied for use permit, which is $1,600. I've spent $2,000 there, and trying to build that area and put that nice storage, because I did insulation, I did, on steel 11 siding, painted stuff, nice windows, energy efficient windows, skylights and stuff. So I spent several $1,000s in that, just to keep that place nice and clean and very well. As far as the houses, I just want to respond to the question to the planning Matt. When he did a report, he said the house is too large. I personally don't agree the house is that large. The house next to me is like a dinosaur. It's a big thing. It's, although a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it's the same size and it stretches all the way back. He has a 30 by 20 storage area covered with tarpaulin, and it's used for industrial purpose. He's doing motorcycles, bikes, running the raw mill and stuff, all next door to my shed, on my fence. He doesn't have any room in the back. So comparing the neighborhood, if he did the analysis, you look at that house, it's just same, almost it's bigger than my house. And then if he's talking about the floor area ratio, I'm not trying to say, I'm trying to legitimize my case, but I'm trying to say that in 2001, if you go and look at the report, when Aaron Sedge from the Planning Commission reviewed my case when I was doing it, the same FAR ratios are here, which he says mine is 0.5, which is the largest in the area, which is outright blunt, not true. Because there is, I have looked at it, and I asked Matt I gave the houses to Matt. I was in San Diego just last weekend. He gave me houses on Mason Eastern, which have FAR from 0.73 to 0.83. Just a price analysis. And he did analysis, that's the way he did it. He looked at my house and a house northbound, 5 or 6 houses. If he did analyze the whole property and he told me that your house is the biggest in north-south eastbound of 300 square feet, I would say, yes, you are right. My house is a dinosaur, and these are all little people here, but which is not true. I'm just putting this to the Planning Commission to listen to this too, because what he did is he did the analysis on his own the own way he did it. But if you look at it, anybody passing by my house, looking at the house next door to mine, it's a big dinosaur. It's just the same size. And then houses on the other side, Euclid, 205 Euclid, FAR is 0.83 on records. Huge house, which is just about less than 100 yards. And this is records. There are several houses there. They are all larger. So in that regard, I would say that the analysis that was done, which is not right. Why did somebody do analyze? This is just like a slam dunk. You look at the house and you say, this is it. So I'm trying to say is that the analysis done was unfairly. And the garage, if they're talking about living space, no way. I got a family of 7. I got 5 people, wife, 3 kids, 2 elderly parents. If my house is big, then I got enough people there. At no time I rent, at no time I do anything. Always I have complied with the city code and enforcement or anything. Code enforcement came to my door. I didn't refuse them. He told me, you got something in the back. I said, okay, come on in. I've already complied with that. So my thing is there, I'm just asking the city that I had 240 and I want to reduce it to a small storage area. nothing else. I want to keep it a story. I've done it, and with me the things are hard now. My hours are cut now. I mean, I've spent so much money in that. I want to keep it, you know, and you know, I just don't know what to do with it now. I'm trying to work with the city and the planning to resolve it somehow that I can keep that. It's not that I'm gonna go and use and make another unit or something, but this is I just, you know, I'm sorry it happened, and I take full responsibility for what happened, outright. I'm not denying it. I'm no beating around the bush. I did it. It happened, and this is the way it happened because there was slab and things, and two, it was just easy to do for me to do it, and that's why I did it. So I mean, upfront about it. And in the back, my landscaping is pretty good. I got lemon, orange trees, got 2 apple trees, orange, lemon in the back. In the front, I've got a landscaping. I wanted to
Through the
increase the
chair.
landscaping in the front.
Excuse me, sir, just a minute.
Yes,
Uh,
Mr. Pearson.
I believe the applicant is repeating himself and has covered the same material
Okay,
several
I'll
times.
stop it.
Well, he is to a point, but I mean, I do want to give him as much opportunity to speak, you know, on his behalf as he needs, you know.
Thank you. I'll stop now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you know, I get carried away, I guess.
So usually they get 5 minutes, but if maybe you want to ask him if there was anything he felt that he didn't cover that he wanted to add, then he should do so now, and then that would be it.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No.
I mean, I just want to
Thank you
give him
for your time.
the full benefit of, you know, whatever time, since he is, looks like one of the last ones.
I'm all done now.
Okay, well, thank you very much. All right, I will bring this to the
Actually,
Commissioner, do we have any?
Through the chair,
questions?
I have a question for the applicant.
Certainly, could you please stay there, and thank you very much.
The
Yes, sir.
report says that there was a second kitchen. Could you identify where that was?
No, the area that they're talking about, the store area,
Right.
they're saying it was a kitchen, you know.
There was a kitchen? No, there was not.
No, there is no kitchen there, no.
Okay. Thanks.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Marshall?
I'd like to add on that question. I know there's no kitchen there now, but was there a kitchen there?
There was a cabinets, yeah. There was cabinets and like a storage area for kitchen, yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There was cabinets and like a stove? Was there a kitchen, was there a second kitchen in the house?
Yeah, it's not a full kitchen. It was, yes.
Okay, you've been very honest with the whole thing. Now
Yeah,
you're kind
no,
of stuttering
I mean,
now.
Yes.
So what was the second kitchen used for?
The second kitchen was used for just like, because I had a kitchen inside, I had a problem with ventilation and stuff, frying stuff, so we used that, you know, outside there. So I had used it outside kitchen for frying and,
I'm sorry, you should just make the record clear. I think the Community Development Director handed a picture up to you, so you'll want to have on the
Right.
record what that is. so
Exactly.
that
I was
the
just going to
applicant
ask,
can
I was
address
just going
it
to
if
ask
he
Aaron, this picture that, I don't know how we're going to notify to you, but is this the unpermitted kitchen or the, because it says unpermitted, but it sure looks a lot bigger than this picture on the plan here.
Correct. That was the unpermitted kitchen that now we opened a code enforcement case and it was demolished.
And so half of this is now the storage room we're talking about?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, because this kitchen looks like it's built more than grilling. Nicer than my kitchen.
So you want to make sure that the applicant gets a chance to look
Sure.
at it, and if he wishes to comment on it,
Sure.
he can, but he needn't if he does not want to.
Any other questions of?
Well, let's let him look at it first before we ask more questions regarding the
Sure.
kitchen.
There's only one photo of that?
For a green committee. So
Through the
again,
chair.
just to re-ask my question again, that kitchen that we just got a picture of would be the proposed legalization of the storage room plus the patio, so basically 10 by 20, Aaron, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and where was the access to the kitchen?
Through, Matt could correct me if I'm wrong, but you had to enter it through the backyard.
It was through the kitchen, through the current kitchen now?
Currently, right now, the 240 unpermitted square foot addition has a hallway that would connect There is internal circulation, so it is connected to the house. What the applicant is proposing is to.
Close that off.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. If you look at sheet 3, existing floor plan, you'll see the existing floor plan as it stands right now.
You're right, okay. I did miss that part.
Okay.
On the existing site plan?
Right here.
Existing floor plan.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron?
Through the chair, I'd just like to make one comment he made about the table that's found within the staff report comparing different homes within the neighborhood. What we did was compare 5,000 square foot lots within the neighborhood and the comparative FAR of those lots. We did not include 2,500 square foot lots because, as the Planning Commission knows, a lot of the older San Francisco style homes that were built on those lots before Ordinance 1520, before our current ordinance, have higher FARs. Number one, because they were built before our current ordinance, and number two, because they're on lots half the size, so the ratio jumps. So what we did was compare apples to apples and compare his home as it stands to other homes in the neighborhood with 5,000 square foot lots.
Thank you. Any further questions of the applicant by the commissioners here? No? Oh, I'm sorry.
I would just want to make sure whether the applicant wanted to add anything, since now he's had a chance to look at the picture and he heard some additional comments. So if he wants to add anything to the record, that would be.
Absolutely. Do you have anything to
I
add?
just wanted to answer Aaron's question here. He said he compared apples to apples. I don't think so, because 2,500 square foot, he got some of the properties, but the ones that he needed to compare, like the one he said he wanted to compare the 5,000 square foot lots, he did not. They did not. They did some of it, but not all. The area that if they went east to west bound, there are houses built on 5,000 square foot lot, which has. I just want to say, because there are larger houses with larger lots. I know the 2,500 and 3,500 and 5,000. I'm in real
All right.
estate too.
Thank you. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No,
Okay.
that'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody from the public wishing to comment on this particular item? Seeing none, I'm going to open and close public comment, bring it back to the commissioners for whatever appropriate action they feel they may want to take.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Samud?
I would like to make the motion that the Planning Commission deny use permit 08-026 based on findings of denial 1 through 5.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? All right. The the denial passes with a 10-day appeal period. Thank you. Next item, 101 Lake Drive. One second. Request for a use permit to allow an addition which increases the gross floor area by greater than 50%, would exceed 2,800 square feet of living area, with a two-car garage per sections 12-230B1, 12-280A3 of the San Bruno zoning ordinance. Lisa, staff report.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. The item before you is a request for a first and second story addition at 101 Lake. The total floor area of the added area would be 1,443 square feet, and that would be adding to the existing residence of just a little over 2,200 square feet, bringing the total new with the addition to 3,730 square feet. As noted in your staff report, this item was reviewed at three different architecture review committee meetings. At the first meeting, staff had expressed concern with the mass of the addition as well as the view impact to the adjacent neighbor at 103 Lake Drive. The architecture review committee then conducted a site inspection to better view the property, and the applicant was able to erect a story pole to represent where the addition would end and where the ridge line would be. So we were able to go out there and take a view from the adjacent neighbor as well as from the subject site. At that meeting, the Architecture Review Committee requested the applicant make some reduction in area, pull back the addition to preserve a larger view corridor. And they also gave some direction to the applicant. At that time, he had a 3-car garage because of the size of the addition. And the Architecture Review Committee suggested that in order to maintain the living space that the applicant had desired in the addition, to pull some of that living space down from the 2nd story and to incorporate that with the 1st floor addition to try to maintain, as I indicated earlier, that larger view corridor with the 2nd story. So the committee was supportive of sticking with a 2-car garage. The applicant did make the modifications as requested, reduce the overall square footage of the addition by, I believe, 200 square feet, and also pull back the 2nd story addition. This was presented at the last Architecture Review Committee meeting, and we did have the adjacent neighbors still express some concern, and it's mostly due to what's labeled as that storage area behind the garage. When you look at it from that adjacent neighbor, there is still that roof line coming up, and the 2nd story, because of the slope, is a tall structure. So they are concerned that that would still block some of their view, but I think they were pleased with the other changes that the applicant had made. Staff is also supportive of the request. I think the changes created a larger view corridor. It also helped to break up the addition. When we viewed it from the adjacent neighbor, it felt very large and massive. And I think the articulation that's now been incorporated in the design really does help break up the mass of the addition. This is a very large lot, as you know, but it does have a very large easement to the rear, so it does limit the ability to add on to this property, somewhat limited by that 2nd story addition. Staff is also supportive of the 2-car garage. There is storage within that garage area, as you've seen, and there is driveway space to park as well. Just wanted to note that the applicant will be replacing the wood siding that's there now with entirely stucco for the residents, and then there's just that minor architectural change at the front, but essentially the rest of the addition is to the rear. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the property owner is also here if you have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions of staff? No? Thank you, Lisa. And the applicant, would you please step to the podium and state your name and street for the record, please?
Yeah, good evening. I'm Paul Peoples, and my house is at 101 Lake Drive.
Would you like to give any type of description at all of the proposed plan?
The plan is it's acceptable to us. We're not quite getting what we want, but that's part of the compromise process. And I think it's going to actually look better than our original plans did from our neighbor's point of view. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant?
Through the chair. I apologize for my voice, but I was up at the property today, and I saw that there's a retaining wall that surrounds the pillars down below. Can you tell me about that wall?
A retaining wall?
Well, it appears to be. I mean, I didn't walk down into it, but I went into the adjacent neighbor to your right, or to the east side.
Oh, to the east side.
And I looked at your porch, and underneath there was a retaining wall. Well, it appeared to be. It's a brick wall.
Oh, that is totally on my neighbor's property, and that's my neighbor's wall.
It was underneath your house.
Pardon?
It was underneath your house.
Oh, that. That is a concrete and brick wall that's under my deck.
Yes.
And the previous owner, I think they put it in for a windbreak so they could barbecue down there, because the way the house is now, most of the time you cannot barbecue any place on the property.
Yes, I understand that.
And most of that is going to disappear because the house is, going to move back in that area a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So the history of it, I really don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And there, from what I saw, I believe there's some plants in the back. Looks like bathtubs. Are those yours or your neighbors?
Oh, those are my neighbors.
Okay.
Everything, yeah, that's all the neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
I wonder about those too.
Is that the bathtub?
Thank you. Yes.
Planter boxes.
Well, they're not currently being used as planter boxes.
Okay, Mary, any other questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Any of the other commissioners have any questions of the applicant? I don't see any, but it looks like, Aaron, would you question?
I would just like to compliment the applicant as well as the neighbor on coming together and compromising on this one. This application has taken a little while, but I think the end result is something that, as the applicant said, he could live with, and something that the neighbor can live with as well. So I'd like to compliment the applicant about coming a long way on this one to meet staff's recommendations, as well as some that you take into consideration as neighbor.
I have a question, please. It's
Okay,
really not really about the plans, more for my own knowledge of reading plans, so maybe you can help me out. I'm reading A3 here, and I'm trying to figure out how far away your house is from the neighbor's house, where it kind of staggers out. And it looks like that line there is a 5-foot setback there, but then the neighbor's house, it seems to be like right on that property line. Is the neighbor's house too close to the property line? Aaron, am I reading that right?
That's just very close.
Good point.
Yeah, by today's standards, yes, I think they are a little close to the property, too close to the property lines. It's also, those lots around there also have odd shapes.
Right, I know it's on the
So I
angle,
think that's
but-
the reason in the original subdivision, the
But if this,
setback.
if this property line is correct on his plans, the neighbor is like 1.5 feet off the property line.
Very close on the side.
So is there a fence there, or is there going to be a fence there?
There is a cyclone fence there.
Could somebody walk between their neighbor's house and the fence?
Oh, sure. There's at the corner of my house, I have a gate, and then there's the cyclone fence it's a 5-foot fence that runs down the property line about halfway down towards the reservoir. And then on his side, he has a gate just like mine that he can open and go around the side of his house. And they're only close right at the very corner of the street, and then they both kind of angle away from each other.
Oh, I see that, but at that corner, it looks like it's,
It is close. I mean, we were out there, but.
that
you
has
can
really
walk
no
through.
bearing on you, it's your neighbor more than
Yeah, I've measured mine. I think it's exactly 5 feet from the corner of my house to the post of the fence.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Peterson.
I'd like to compliment the applicant on using what appears to be extreme geometrical skills to figure out how to get a new structure in between the property line and the easement. And you've certainly gone farther than almost all but 1% of the applications we've seen. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I started out with a surveyor to find out what we really could do before
Right.
pursuing it.
I saw that.
Any other questions of the applicant? Yeah. Okay, well, seeing none, I would just like to take the opportunity again to, commend you. You listened to what your neighbors' concerns were, you listened to staff, you listened to the art review. You did a great job. And thank you from my perspective. And
Can we vote on it? Maybe we're gonna
no,
do-
I'm
maybe
just
we're gonna
telling,
do
I'm
that.
just letting her know. I just think you did a great job. Anyway, so now I'm gonna open it up to the public. Anybody in the public wishing to speak on this? I see no public, John Q. Public, so I will open and close. I will bring it back to the commission for whatever their pleasure is, Commissioner Marshall.
Through the
You gonna
chair.
make it? Commissioner Peterson, yes.
I'd like to move the commission approve use permit 8-24 based on findings of fact 1 through 6 and conditions of approval 1 through 24.
Okay. we
Second.
Have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It does pass. You have a 10-day appeal period, and what I previously stated still stands. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which would be Admiral Court. Request for a parking exception to allow a reduction in the provision of on-site parking for a new building with the 5,000 square foot restaurant and 7,250 square feet of retail space per section 12-100, 120A of the San Bruno Municipal Code.
Thank you, and I think all the Planning Commission will note that there's an amended staff report in front of you. The applicant has actually withdrew their permit for the parking exception request, and the Planning Commission will soon see a plan development permit amendment request for the parking ratio for the shopping center. And they thought that would be a better strategy so that they wouldn't have to keep on coming back to the Planning Commission in the event that future tenants may be a bank or future tenants might be a coffee shop that have a slightly higher ratio than the existing one. But with both applications, included the parking acceptance application, the general thought behind it is that we approve this as a transit-oriented development, aiming to put people in an area where they could walk there, and that staff is supporting an overall parking reduction for the retail space because of the fact that there's 2,000 people that live directly behind it, which will be a substantial customer base for the commercial strip there. So you'll see that in an upcoming Planning Commission meeting, but there's no action before you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we open and close that one. All right. Well, we don't actually open it, I suppose. Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion, city staff discussion.
I'll begin with the July 16th Architecture Review Committee. Any volunteers?
July 21st, you mean?
The 21st is the Planning Commission, but the Architectural Review will be on the 16th.
Thank you.
Peterson.
I could be a backup.
Okay. Mishra and Marshall.
I have to call you, I know.
Okay.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
Put him there. and I'll put back
Commissioner,
up.
Chair Chase tonight. All right.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I'd like to note is that, as you know, we adopted the general plan in March. The second step to that is that you have to adopt a new zoning code in order to state law requires that you amend your zoning code so that it be consistent with the general plan. So we're going to be doing an overhaul of the zoning code. We just interviewed consultants over the past week, so I'll keep everyone up to date, but that's just another one of the long-range planning projects that we have going on now, along with the transit corridor plan and the residential design guidelines. You also will be soon be having joint City Council Planning Commission meetings for both those documents, for the residential design guidelines, as well as the transit corridor plan, a check-in for the transit corridor plan, and a check-in for the residential design guidelines. So those two are coming along. Say the residential design guidelines is in about 90%, almost 100% draft form for your review. In the transit corridor plan, we're about at the 50% mark. And the final one, this is pretty exciting. Farmers Market was approved for downtown. It's going to start on Sunday on San Mateo Avenue between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So right on the street between Sylvan and Genevan. Pacific Coast Farmers Market is going to be the operator. The applicant and the sponsor of the event is San Bruno Chamber of Commerce. The Pacific Coast Farmers Market does they have about 60 markets within the Bay Area, including some right here in San Mateo County. They operate the South City Market, they operate the Millbrae Market, they operate the CSM Market, the Belmont, as well as the San Carlos Market on Thursday night. So it's a very successful farmers market. The shop owners downtown are really excited about it because it's going to drive business downtown. So it's pretty exciting, and I hope you can tell as many people as you can to come out this Sunday for the grand opening and ribbon cutting event.
Good, Chair.
And one other final one is we had the housing. We had a housing element workshop where we invited everyone from the community to come in and discuss housing issues. It was actually even more successful than we thought it was going to be. A number of people stopped in, made comments about what they'd like to see incorporated into our housing element.
Thank you. Very good report.
Chair, Aaron, I was going to ask on the Planning Commission discussion about the farmers market, because I just got some flyers on it, and I think it's going to be a good thing. But my question is, what constitutes an event like a street fair or something like that, or like an every Sunday thing where they have to come to the Planning Commission for approval for parking exceptions and stuff like that? Because I got a couple calls from people asking me if I knew anything about it, when they got the flyers, and I knew nothing about it as a Planning Commissioner. So at what point, if it's every Sunday for the rest of the year, which is a lot of Sundays, at what point is it a business and not just an event?
What was required in this case, there was a number of permits required, but the two main things that were required were a street closure by the City Council. We noticed everyone within every shop owner on San Mateo Avenue of the street closure hearing, as well as everyone within 300 feet of the block, although that's not required. Since this isn't a land entitlement, since it's in with the public right-of-way, it doesn't come to the Planning Commission. It's a decision of the City Council for use of the public right-of-way. And the actual encroachment into the public right-of-way for the event is handled through an encroachment permit. And the City Council provided direction related to that encroachment permit and the conditions that will be placed on it. So we actually noticed more people than we normally notice for a Planning Commission event. And I got quite a few phone calls about it, and they were almost 100% positive. There was a couple concerns about an earlier start time that we originally have and the noise that would be generated for the residential neighborhood. City Council actually responded to that and made it go an hour. It was originally going to be from 9 to 1, and now it's from 10 to 2, so it's not as early for the residents on a Sunday morning. And it's also noted that Bank of America and Citibank have both volunteered their lots for the market, so that's about an additional 90 parking spaces. And there's going to be directional signs getting people to those parking spaces. And on top of that, we also have, of course, 400 public parking spaces in the downtown area.
Okay, so the main answer is, since it's city-owned property, that's what makes the difference?
Correct. Yeah.
Any other final questions of staff? Any comments or discussion by Planning Commission?
I do have a question.
Sure.
To the chair.
Commissioner Johnson.
It is number 8 after adjournment, but I'm concerned if I wait for adjournment, I won't get to ask the question. So, with your permission,
Please, by all means, go
it
ahead.
indicates that the next Planning Commission meeting is July 14th. I think it's 21st. Okay, just checking.
Check and double check. Okay, any other discussion? Thank you very much. Had a nice meeting. We are adjourned.